Hey, what is up guys? This is Zach, and if you know me, you would know that I basically live by the Bose QC20i's, the flagship Bose in-ear headphones. But you might also know that a budget pair of headphones called the Bose SoundTrue Ultras came out a while back, and I think a lot of people might be confusing these two. So let's find out if the $170 difference between the two pairs of headphones are worth it. Let's get right into it. Alright, so starting off with the design, they are a lot alike with the stay here tips, which I actually like a lot, but the main difference you'll see is in the actual headphone design. The Quiet Comforts have a more oval design, which looks very business-like, while the Ultras have a very circular design, which are much more streamlined. The cord use is also much thinner on the Ultras with a black and gray pattern as opposed to the black and white pattern on the Quiet Comforts. Now, one of the big distinguishing features between these headphones is actually the cord layout. On the SoundTrue Ultras, it has a sort of T shape, but on the QC20i's, it has a right up shape where it goes straight up as opposed to the sides. And personally, I like the SoundTrue Ultras a bit better because it's more of a unique design, whereas the QC20i's has a much more traditional design. Now, I do think that the T shape is a bit weird, but it does actually make sense considering that your ears are not straight up, but they're actually angled to the side a bit. The termination on the QC20i's is also right angle as opposed to the straight angle on the Ultras. The inline control on the Quiet Comforts is in the joint, whereas the Ultras actually have it on the right earbud, which is a bit closer to your mouth. Now personally, I do think that the QC20i's are designed a bit more conventionally over the SoundTrue Ultras, but I like that better. I like a more normalized design, so I'm going to give this one to the QC20i's. But in reality, it really doesn't matter because it's the sound quality that matters. So let's get right into that. Now, before we talk about the sound quality, there are a few things that we need to discuss first. Now, when the QC20i's aren't powered on and you're comparing them to the SoundTrue Ultras, they sound a lot alike. They both have a very tight seal and don't struggle to keep the bass in, but they both sound a bit weak to me. Honestly, they just aren't very punchy. They still have a very nice sound and they don't sound bad, but this is where the QCI's totally steal the show. Now, because the QC20i's amplify your music and help to isolate the outside sound, they really sound a lot different when comparing actual use cases. Now, the one thing that you have to remember is that the SoundTrue Ultras do not have any sort of active noise canceling. You cannot confuse the active noise canceling on the QC20i's to the SoundTrues. And I think a lot of people are doing that, and that's basically why I bought the QC20i's, is for that sound cancellation. Now, don't get me wrong, there is great isolation and sound quality with the Ultras, but it really just doesn't compare to the Quiet Comforts. But back to the sound, they both sound super clear and really good with almost any music, but the Ultras can lack that punch that a lot of people like sometimes, and with the QC20i's, the amplification totally takes care of that problem. Now, I would say overall, big picture wise, they sound a lot alike when you don't give them any power. But once you turn on the amplification with the QC20i's, the comparison is basically over. They sound a lot better. So I guess all that's left is a little bit of analysis of which you should spend your money on. Basically, they both sound really good, but if you can swing the QC20i's, it's going to be much more worth it. Not only do they sound much better with the amplification, but they're also noise canceling, which is a big feature that the SoundTrue Ultras lack. Now, don't get me wrong, for $135, the SoundTrue Ultras are an amazing step up from your Apple EarPods with its amazing isolation and these tips that you can't really get anywhere else. Now, I would say that these SoundTrue Ultras are pretty perfect if you just sort of sit at your desk and you need some good headphones for maybe phone calls or maybe if you go on a run occasionally. But overall, I would say that if you travel or anything like that and you need some noise canceling headphones, these are not the headphones for you, and you want to go ahead and get the QC20i's, my personal favorite headphones of 2015 overall. So thanks so much for checking out this quick comparison, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.